One morning, without doing anything wrong, Josef K. was arrested. But no one told him why. No explanation. No trial. Just a slow, invisible noose tightening around his life. And what's worse, he started to believe maybe he deserved it. It was his 30th birthday. He woke up expecting breakfast from his landlady. Instead, two men in stiff, mismatched suits stood by his bed. Franz and Willem. They weren't police, at least not by uniform. But they said the words with eerie calm. "You're under arrest." He laughed. A joke, surely. No papers. No warrant. No crime. He asked for what? They only smiled. "We don't know. We're just doing our job." Instead of being taken away, he was told to stay home. Not imprisoned. Not charged. Just watched. He dressed. He shaved. He went to work like nothing had happened. But something had. People looked at him a second too long. Conversations around him lowered in volume. And a subtle sense of judgment began to rise, like smoke under a closed door. The bank where he worked functioned like normal, but he couldn't. His manager questioned his focus. His colleagues smiled, but something behind their eyes had shifted. He tried to dismiss it. A misunderstanding. A prank. Bureaucratic absurdity. But then came the message. He was to appear before the magistrate. Sunday. 9 a.m. In a tenement building, not a courthouse. Room 27, back staircase, 5th floor attic. Sounded like a trap. It felt like madness. But he went. And there it began. Not a courtroom, an attic. Overcrowded. Humid. Spectators sweating and whispering. No judge in robes. Just a young magistrate at a desk, as if part of a bad stage play. Josef was told to speak. No one told him the charges. He demanded answers. The crowd laughed. The magistrate wrote something down. The trial had begun. Long before he stepped into the room. And somewhere between the rising heat and the stifling stares, Josef realized. He wasn't here to be judged. He was here to be processed. You're not punished because you're guilty. You are guilty because the system has decided to punish you. And on his birthday, the day meant to celebrate life, Josef K. took the first step into a machine designed to erase it. The court didn't operate like a legal body. It operated like a disease. Josef kept going back. Each time the location changed slightly, new staircases, new faces. Always hidden in ordinary buildings like parasites living in the walls of the city. No names on the doors. No official documents. Just whispers. "Come back next week. Speak to this man. Your behavior is being observed." He tried to understand the system. Instead, he found a man filing endless papers with no idea what they meant. He met a woman named Leni, nurse, court insider, seductress. She seemed to know how things worked, and who to please. She offered him help and her body. Desperate and confused, he accepted both. Later, he learned she belonged to the magistrate. The system had no morals, just appetites. His meetings with the court became performances. No one cared what he said. They only watched how he said it. The courtroom had become a stage, and Josef a sweating actor in a play with no script. Then came the advocate Huld, an old, sickly man full of secrets but slow to act. Josef realized the lawyers were trapped too. Negotiating with invisible forces, whispering to each other, hoping for delay, not justice. Finally, a man named Block entered the story. Another accused. Someone who had been on trial for 5 years. Living like a dog, bribing everyone, obeying everyone. Josef saw himself in Block. Or worse, his future. The court never declared you guilty. It didn't need to. Its silence did the work. Its slowness ate your soul. A painter named Titorelli told Josef a dark truth. There were 3 kinds of acquittal, but none were real. Only illusions like sunlight in a dream. And that's when Josef began to lose something deeper than his freedom. His trust in reality. His belief in innocence. His sense of self. Because the court didn't have eyes. Yet he felt them everywhere. The law doesn't knock on your door. It waits for you to knock on your own mind. And surrender. Josef K begins to drift, not away from the court but into it. He still goes to work. He still eats, still speaks to people. But behind every routine action he feels the weight of the trial. It's not an event anymore, it's a presence. Silent. All-consuming. Unseen, but everywhere. He returns to Titorelli, the court painter. A man who lives in a suffocating attic, surrounded by identical paintings of judges. Each face faceless. Each robe hollow. Titorelli paints for the court but is never told why. He knows the rituals but not the meanings. And he offers Josef 3 options. 1. Real acquittal. 2. Apparent acquittal. 3. Protraction of the trial. But here's the truth. None of them lead to freedom. A real acquittal has never been recorded. An apparent one only delays the inevitable. And protraction? That's the court's favorite, because it feeds on time, confusion, and hope. Joseph listens. And for the first time he stops arguing. He doesn't resist, he calculates. Maybe if he plays the game he'll win. Maybe if he smiles the right way, says the right words, bribes the right people, he can survive. But something in him fractures. A slow erosion of clarity. He starts believing he must have done something wrong. Why else would this be happening? He questions his memory. He doubts his character. He wonders if guilt is something felt, not proven. This is the court's real power. It doesn't break you with force, it breaks you with silence. It makes truth evaporate like smoke. Your story becomes a fog, and inside that fog, you forget who you were. He tries to visit a cathedral, seeking refuge. There, a priest tells him a parable. A man stands at the door of the law. He begs for entry. The doorkeeper says, "Not yet." So the man waits, for years, until death. And when he asks at the very end, why no one else came through the gate, the doorkeeper says, "This door was meant only for you. And now I am going to close it." Joseph stares at the priest. The parable is too familiar. Because in this system the only gate is the one you wait at, and the only sin is waiting. At first Joseph K wanted justice. Now he just wants it to end. He grows restless. No verdict. No timeline. No end in sight. Just endless stares, cryptic smiles, and the court's eternal silence. He storms into the advocate Huld's home again, only to find Huld entertaining another client. Block. Once a businessman, now lives like a beaten dog. He bribes officials, sleeps on Huld's floor, follows every order with trembling obedience. Huld humiliates him publicly like a child scolding a pet. And Block accepts it, grateful to still have representation. Joseph watches, horrified. Then a deeper horror takes hold. He's not different from Block. Not anymore. So he fires Huld. A bold move, one that feels like rebellion. But the court doesn't care. It doesn't need to respond. His resistance doesn't slow it down. It just isolates him further. He tells himself he's taking back control. But with every act of defiance, the walls draw closer. Even those who once helped him now look away. His uncle, once supportive, now impatient. The women who touched his life, Frau Grubach, Leni, now whisper about his behavior. Joseph isn't just on trial in the court anymore. He's on trial in every room he enters. Every conversation. Every glance. The system doesn't want his submission. It already has that. It wants him to perform resistance until it becomes pointless. The harder he fights, the more absurd it all seems. There's no door to break down. No judge to confront. No charges to deny. There is only waiting. Explaining. Begging. Trying. And in trying he becomes guilty. Because that's the trick of the machine. It turns your struggle into proof. Your fear into evidence. Your search for justice into a confession. In the end, Joseph's rebellion doesn't shake the system. It feeds it. The court doesn't need to win a battle. It only needs to wait. Until you realize, you were never fighting the system. You were fighting yourself. A year passes. No verdict. No trial. No explanation. Joseph K goes to work. Eats dinner. Nods at neighbors. But he no longer asks questions. The fire is gone. The fight is done. He speaks less. Trusts no one. Even his own thoughts feel foreign now, like they belong to someone else. Then one evening, two men arrive. Dressed like the first, strangely official, strangely forgettable. They say nothing. He follows. They lead him through the empty streets. Through alleys he's never walked. Past silent buildings that seem to lean in and listen. Finally, they reach a quarry outside the city. No crowd. No sentence. Just silence. He tries to speak. But they don't respond. They remove his coat. They make him kneel. He looks up at the stars. No final plea. No grand rebellion. Just a whisper in his mind. Like a dog. That's how Kafka ends it. Not with thunder. Not with outrage. But with a man executed in silence by men who felt nothing, under a system that never even bothered to name his crime. And Joseph K, in his final moments, doesn't cry out for justice. He simply wonders, if this was always meant to happen. That's the genius of the court. It never needed to prove his guilt. It made him live it. It turned existence into accusation, and made obedience look like freedom. The court doesn't kill you with cruelty. It kills you with meaninglessness, no crime, no answer, no escape, only the slow erosion of identity until you execute yourself by accepting the role they gave you. Josef K. was never truly arrested. He was replaced, bit by bit, doubt by doubt, until the man who once said, "I've done nothing wrong," knelt down and let them end him. Because the truth isn't that he was guilty. The truth is that in a world built on absurdity, not being guilty is the most dangerous thing of all.
Thank you for watching. If this story made you feel something, not just fear, but the sorrow of being unseen, share it. Let this tale live on, not as horror, but as a reflection. Leave a comment with the part that struck you most. And if you believe stories like this deserve to be remembered, like, subscribe, and help us bring forgotten legends back to life.